an absolute honor for SEMHRD to have our esteemed alumnus, Mr. Chandrasekhar Ganduri, from the batch of 2004 as our guest for the new interview series, which is called Through the Corporate Lens. So presently, he is a director at PwC and has been part of other prestigious organizations like HDFC Standard Life Insurance and Deloitte during his flourishing corporate career. He plays a crucial role in strategic decision making events like mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance, valuation, and many more. It is a great learning opportunity for us to hear from a person with such vast and diverse experience. Sir, we are truly honored to have you. And now I invite our Senior Associate Professor, Dr. Manish Sinha, to take over the session.
Thank you, Tejas. And Chandrasekhar, it's an honor for me as well to be a part of this webinar. And, as a part of introducing you to our audience, I would go back to my memories of the days when you were a student. And what was unique about you, and till now I cherish that, was the fact that you were very high on ideals and you were very high on commitment. This was a time when SMHRD had a lot of rules, and invariably, even without knowing, a person would break one or the other rule because there were so many of them. But Chandrasekhar was very diligent when it came to following rules. Not only he himself followed the rules, he encouraged others. And at times, you put me to embarrassment because I was not that serious about those rules as you were. At the same time, I also observed a lot of commitment from your side. Commitment in terms of gaining a lot of knowledge, and you were always, trying to understand newer things. Very enthusiastic, and I think your career was defined in a unique manner because of this urge for gaining new knowledge, gaining new expertise. So anyway, for the benefit of our current students who will be a part of this, who's are a part of this, the audience of this webinar, can you take us through your corporate journey? Because that is one of the best way to get inspired. So please tell us how has been your journey up till now.
Thanks, Manish sir, and really thankful to SMHRD for inviting me for this series. And it's always a pleasure to be, back to the alma mater and share the experiences in terms of how we have grown from being just a student into a kind of corporate life and all that. Right after the SMHRD, I started in HDFC Standard Life as a management trainee, and primarily my specialization in SMHRD was marketing and finance, and the primary role for me at HDFC Standard Life is marketing. So I started my career as a corporate account manager for HDFC Limited and some of the other channels for Standard Life. Basically trying to increase the sales and all that. So I'm a out and out marketing guy. That's how I started. But then again, the engineer in me and the inquisitiveness that I have in finance, like Manish sir has mentioned a while back, is something that has basically gravitated me towards the actuarial part of the insurance. So I registered myself as the student member of the Actuarial Society of India, and I started kind of giving the exams there. And in fact, in 2 to 3 months that I've basically been the member there, I've kind of cleared a couple of exams, one in financial mathematics and the other one, if I remember, is in statistics and probability. So once I'm through that, I'm pretty much sure that I'm not the marketing guy. Possibly, I should be looking at finance as the primary kind of area that I should focus on in terms of the career, and that's where I started to look for the roles which are more towards the finance and applying more of analytical skills and mathematical skills and all that. So that is when I got opportunity in Deloitte Valuations. So this is a offshoot of the US investment. Basically, the US Deloitte has invested in India in terms of creating a center of excellence, and they were actually looking at valuation practice, setting up of valuation practice in India. And I was lucky to be part of almost the pioneer group there. So they've actually taken me through rigorous training in terms of the valuation, business valuations, intangible assets valuations, and all that. And frankly, it's a very exciting journey there for the first few months, because I've kind of learned a lot of things. While we had a very good understanding and solid concepts of finance and valuation in our B school, that is SMHRD, but the way it is applied is something which actually fascinated me, and I really kind of have loved that. And it took me, I was just about an average kind of a performer there in the first year, but then it took me just 1 year for me to get to the best of the batch there. So that's when I thought possibly when we are looking at valuation and finance and all this, what really matters more is understanding of the industry, clients, and interacting with the stakeholders directly, which was lacking at Deloitte. So that's when I started to look out, and then fortunately I got an opportunity in PwC, my current organization. And I had no second thoughts, because I was basically taking Deloitte was paying me well, but then I took the conscious decision of basically getting into the front end from otherwise a back end kind of a role. And that's when I joined PwC in July 2006, which is exactly 14 years back. And from there on, again, it was a great journey for me. And yeah, so just to basically sum it up, the way in which I basically looked at it, the whole journey is the constant urge to learn new things, and especially in the area which excites me, or which basically which allows me to operate in my comfort zone, which is the areas that I love. So my kind of thought process on this for all the audience is that always follow your heart in terms of seeing where you want to be. There are opportunities everywhere. The world is wide. So just be the best in whatever you're trying to do. And I think that's what the mantra has been all through, trying to be best, follow the heart, and achieve the results. Yeah.
Nice. Uh, you see, one very common thing which I've observed amongst successful students is the capacity to reach out and seek new responsibilities. I saw that in you when you were a part of the campus. And again, after you were at Deloitte, I remember you reached out to your top bosses and you told them that SMHRD has something to offer. And I made a visit to your Hyderabad office.
Yeah.
Now, is this because of your training in marketing, or is this an inherent trait? How would you put it?
See, I think one is the attitude, sir. But otherwise, one major thing that has actually got me going is the kind of exposure that I got at SMHRD. So I was more like an introvert guy before I joined SMHRD, and largely like kind of going about my business and all that. But I think somewhere SMHRD has forcefully opened up guys like me to the external world, and and then the joy of interacting with people, because I remember very well during those days you know uh, uh, people used to say that you don't, even if you're in sales, you are not in business of selling. You're not in business of selling, but you're in business of solving the problem of others. So I think that's the whole perspective that was there. And I really remember, very clearly remember my initial days in HDFC, when I used to talk, a different language altogether compared uh, to the otherwise, the sales guys in the office, and everyone used to, I used to kind of be a different guy and stand out of the crowd, because my language and grammar is different, completely different. I had gumption when my at that time my boss was talking about the cost, the cost that we are putting in each resource and the kind of returns that we would need in terms of sales and all that. So I just had gone out and said, see boss, you may be working here for last 10 years, so you may be considered as a cost in the organization, but I'm just here, and HDFC is investing in me, so I'm an investment in the in the company. I'm not a cost here. So I actually said that. Yeah. So things like that. So that is, I think that is the attitudinal change that has actually happened to me after HRD. And obviously, we have great faculty, excellent environment, and really, really great batch. A lot of my colleagues are, equally great, in terms of they are doing really well in their respective fields. And I think the biggest takeaway is that the experience of those 2 years, how it has changed, the life, and thereafter again the kind of connects that I could maintain even after so many years with all my batchmates. And it need not always result in business, but the advices that you basically get, or the kind of interactions that you end up doing, it will always enrich in a very, very many ways. Yeah.
Great. When you look back at the experience of SMHRD, to our current students, what are the things that you will ask them to lay importance on or to lay stress on? The complete experience at SMHRD in terms of peers, in terms of knowledge, in terms of the skills learned, everything. What are the things that you are going to, direct the current students towards?
Yeah. So one thing is we have exceptionally very good economic rigor. I think that is something which is already there. So there is nothing more to add to it. But out of that, if you remember, I think the very inherent approach to have a knowledge or research view on every aspect of life, including the economics, the world around us, and all that. That is very important, because that makes us as a relevant being wherever we are. When we end up basically between in a crowd, if we know the place, if we know the circumstances, the situations, we are always in a better position to understand or empathize with the problems around us. I think this was pretty much part of the curriculum. I don't know how it is now. If you remember, sir, we used to have current affairs,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
weekly and fortnightly quizzes and all that. So that was, I think, exceptional thing. And then one should basically look at it more as equal to the academic kind of a thing, in terms of taking those up and having see, it's always good to have an opinion, and one should have it. But the bigger important thing is the ability to kind of listen to the others views and make amends and changes to your own view, because that's when you basically enrich yourself with more knowledge. I think that very part of basically looking out, and not that is what in curriculum. I think you have to basically, irrespective of which stream you go in, what I think that's going to help you long way when you go up the ladder in the corporate world. You'll have to understand that all the corporates and businesses also function in the real world, which face real issues. And then it's not just the curriculum and bookish kind of a knowledge that one would want, but this is also very, very important, because if you don't have that you can't basically you can't basically survive in the world. So while the curriculum is very important, what is not in the curriculum and what are the issues that are you are seeing in the real world, you having your antenna up to it, and researching more. I still remember, just to give an instance, I still remember almost 10 years back, I used to have spreadsheets, trying to understand the top 20 economies of the world. I used to basically collate all the data from different sources, and I used to do a lot of analysis, which is otherwise not available in the public domain. Taking the information from and then when you have a research view on what the economies are of the top 20 economies of the world, for example, then you're not only giving a great insight to anyone who interacts with you, you're also contributing to a certain solution that possibly is around you. So people would value those kind of suggestions or those kind of views coming. So I suggest, like, people should pick up in their own way things like that and then do that apart from the curriculum.
One of the constant confusion with all the newer batches are regarding choice of a stream. Can you give us some suggestions, as to how should they go about making this choice?
See, I think there is no one fit, one size fit all kind of a formula for this. But my thought process is that one should see into what exactly they are getting into, and always have a first-hand experience, or at least some kind of an interaction with those who already are in those fields. Research, or I still think that the first year is still going to be like a generic kind of a thing, and second year is the one where you specialize, right? So
Yeah.
So the first,
yeah, correct.
yeah. So the first year, I think, while you are in your curriculum, you should basically look at these specializations and interact with people of different streams. And definitely you will find an area where you feel that you are more it gives you that extra kind of an interest, antennas up whenever you basically do certain kind of items in certain kind of fields. Like, HR is, see, every field has opportunities, and when you aim for the best, there is no dearth of opportunities in the world. So there is no low or no high kind of options out there, but it all depends on your aptitude, and you'll have to somewhere get get to understand where your aptitude is. And you only get to it when you work on it, or you interact with the people, or you kind of do that kind of activity. So somewhere, as I was saying, from my own case, while I was clearly I'm from an engineering background, and I really I did not know what was a debit or a credit when I basically started. But then it took me a very small time to understand that accounts is different and finance is different, and I'm not interested in accounts, I'm interested in finance. And for me to be in finance, I just need to know a little bit of accounts, and that's it. Because I had actually flunked in accounts in my first initial Khanna sir quizzes. I really had great difficulty memorizing what is credit, what is debit, where does credit go, where does debit come from. All these kind of transactions are very confusing. So on the face of it, while some of these options may seem to be little discouraging, you will still have to probe and see what basically so the researching of that particular stream is very important. You research the stream and then see yourself whether you fit into that, or whether you really want to do that kind of work. And if you are there, I think you should go for it. You should go for the kill. If you think that excites you, you should go for the kill, and don't ever settle for anything second to best, because only the best gets rewarded in this world. So always try to be the best, and be prepared to get challenged by the best in the world. that's when you basically stand there. You always be prepared to get challenged by the best in the world.
Correct. Absolutely. Let me take you back to SMHRD days and ask you one of your fondest memories of those days. If you may have many, but take us through one or two at least.
Yeah, so I think something which we cannot forget is the morning workouts that we do. We used to do at that time, and I think the biometric attendance makes us. It basically makes us to be punctual there. Dot by 6 means 6 o'clock. It can't be 6:01. So I think, especially when you have so many wonderful people around you, the batchmates and all that, it was a great experience. While in a few days, we did it with a lot of bickering inside, but I think that is something that I would cherish all through, because we had wonderful people and we used to come out with a lot of excuses in terms of why we can't do that, and then there is a sick list always. We used to sit by and then say, sir, हमारा टांग टूट गया, नहीं तो fever आ गया, सर दर्द हो रहा है. I remember one of my colleague, used to say, मैं गिर गया. So then you ask me, तू बार-बार गिरता. It was a wonderful thing. Other thing was, we used to have those dinners and all that, right? So whenever there was a festival, all of us used to basically participate in this dinner making, and then in the evening we used to have this dinner fest and all that. So that is another memory that I have, which is, I think, all of us, all the batchmates, wonderful guys, all of us used to basically contribute, as if it was our home event, and so that kind of contribution towards a team, basically it's something which is very humbling, because at SCM there was no leader, there was no follower. Everyone was a leader, everyone was a follower, and that attitude has actually helped me a lot in shaping me where I am. I think that's the best part.
Great. So there's one very wide question for you. Diversity in organizations. Does it play a role in a person's career, or it is something which is only confined to textbooks?
So I think there is a genuine effort from all the corporates that at least that I have been part of. Wonderful organizations, all of them. Genuine effort to make this work. The reason being, it's not just for the because there is a lot of aura around it from a community or some kind of a fairness standpoint. But I think all that apart, the teams which are sorry, I think sorry, connection problem.
Yeah. No.
So I think the diversity part. So in the gist, I think it's a fair and very very important step to which is something which is inevitable. All the companies that I work with, as I was saying, has this is as a central part of their strategy, because the teams are much more capable. Teams are much more competent, and the kind of advantage it gives to organization is something which is real and tangible. And in my case, I could basically, at least from a gender diversity standpoint, I could vouch for all the female colleagues that I have worked with are exceptionally talented, and in many cases I don't have a hesitation to say that, although some of them are juniors, are very very competent than myself, and I've admitted to them when during my interactions. So I think it was always an asset for me. I always basically welcomed having to have them on my team. So it's about it's about again having that open mind, which I think the organizations are now placing it as in the center of this their whole strategy in terms of how they want to be seen as and how they want to move forward, is to basically get this straight. I think somewhere we are getting there. While there could be still some biases, hidden biases somewhere, but I think more and more in the last 15-16 years that I have worked with, I think that is getting out of organizations. I don't see there is any scope of not having diversity in place. Diversity has to be the way forward, and we are going to be always in an advantageous position as a unit and a team with diversity.
True, true. One common phenomena that I've observed amongst the students during summer placements or before summer placements and after and during final placements is this feeling of being very lonely. There are some who are absolutely dejected. Now, in your journey, you must have felt you must have had that kind of feeling many a time, not only inside the campus but outside as well. How do you deal with such kind of despair?
See, I think that is a very, very good question, Manish, because I'll tell you, it's very easier said than done, right? For the people who actually go through it, because I've been through that. Now practically it's behind me. I can actually, tell you, but it's very hard for the people to basically, get out of that. But one piece of advice, very sincere advice I can give is, I've seen, I myself, been through that. Uh, you should always believe in yourself, and you should basically maintain a right attitude in terms of how you approach the opportunities that come to you. And many a times, it's always not, if you want to go from A to B, it's always not A to B journey. It could be from A to A1 and A1 to B journey, or A1 to A1 to A1 to B1 and B1 to B journey. And everyone has their own path. We cannot basically indulge in comparisons with others. And I think this feel comes from the very fact that people tend to compare. It happened to him, it is not happening to me. He got there and I was not able to get there, or she got that placement, I've not got that. I think this has to end. And in a long term basis, now when you actually look back 10 years, 15 years from now, all these things doesn't matter. It actually is a very could be a very testing phase for few people for few months, or probably a year or two, but that's not going to going to stop anyone from achieving excellence. My sense is, like, you should basically believe in yourself and have the right attitude towards all the opportunities that comes towards you, and you should know how to basically, even if there is a small opportunity, if it comes, because I remember very vividly that I've tried to basically get into a lot of FMCG companies, and I've given interviews in a couple of them in the campus, and was not able to get through. And somehow HDFC has come, and I didn't even realize that I had given interview and they've already selected me. So there was the one policy. Then they were saying that because you got one offer, then you should let unless all the batch gets placed, and you should wait for second offer and all that. So somewhere that kind of a feel was always there. But I think this all comes from the standpoint of comparison. My request to everyone is, don't compare with others. Your journey is your journey. You should basically take it, and you don't look it as a few months or a 1 year or 2 year kind of framework. It's a long, you've just started, you have some 30-40 years before you, right? So how do you start? It's not always that Kohli basically starts with a in a boundary or a sixer, right? Sometimes he does, sometimes he may not. So you should understand that it's a long game. you should understand that and that you are there for a longer haul, and then play it as a 5-day cricket and not as a 2020.
Most students would love to know whether to plan for the next 10 years, 15 years, keeping a certain target in mind. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's purely I know because I've been through that. You cannot plan for 10 years, 15 years. That's out of question. I think anyone who does that is exceptionally great. Really, if he does that, and I think we should not have that. See, no one can plan for 10, 15 years, Manish. I think what is the key here is that you should keep doing the right things in terms of understanding what you want to do and whether you are in the field that you want you want to be. And if you are enjoying yourself and doing there, then you have those smaller targets, which is basically more from the standpoint of learnings rather than getting into a position. Because one thing again, this is again something which I keep using. All these things is something which I picked up from SCM HRD. With responsibility comes the power. It's not the other way around, right? You don't get first the power and then the responsibility. You have to basically take the responsibility, and power will always come to you. So it's about you basically going out of your way, trying to do a lot of things, and then make it work, and then understand, excel in whatever you're working, and then that's how you should position yourself and move forward. Always compete with yourself, don't compete with others. Always compete with yourself. You basically say that, okay, fine, I'm doing this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. 3-4 things you plan for yourself for say a year from now, and then work for it. And that's how things work. Don't ever plan or don't ever compete with others. If he's doing that, I'll also do. No, that's not the way forward, and you're not going to go anywhere with that kind of an approach. Always know your strengths, know your weaknesses, work on your weaknesses, but plan what you want to do for the next 1 year, and be more like go out of your way to do things. And always be smart in terms of understanding how to basically make it appear and take credit of what you do. So that's something you should be little smart about. But otherwise, you have to be out and out extrovert, and real leaders who you work for will always love to have such kind of people, and then they encourage, because the work of the leader is to make another leader. So leaders don't basically make keep all of them who's working with them as managers. Leaders make leaders. So you basically make sure that you're working with the right guys who want to see you successful, and then go out of your way, compete with yourself. I think these are the
Nice. So let me ask you a very hypothetical question. If you are allowed to go back in time and start all over again, what are the changes, if any, you will make?
Yeah, so I think sometimes not that much, but I used to get few nightmares after I passed out of SCM HRD, and then sometime I used to realize that I've actually completed it. It's behind me. In the night, I used to wake up thinking that maybe I missed the exam. I have to give that exam. Oh God, what is the time now? Already the exam started. I don't know what is the syllabus. I don't know what is the subject, but I know that I have to give some exams. So those are nightmares,
Yeah.
So far apart, I think that was quite an experience, Manish. I think you can't go into an experience expecting something. So yeah, for me, I think I have got more than even what I've basically thought I will get from SCM HRD. I think the experience part is the bigger thing, while the regular curriculum and then the rigor of it, the knowledge and all that is there always, and it is up to everyone to pick up how much they can depending on their appetite. But I think the experience part of it, in terms of how you see yourself emerging as a professional, because I know I think I had this conversation with you some time back. one of my roommate and myself, we had a chat with you at that time, sir. We are just students now, and when we are going out, and at that time, the average package was around 4-5 lakhs, I don't know. So why would someone pay us 4 or 5 lakh rupees every year? What value do we basically end up bringing to their table? We used to, I think that's the bigger part. And then what we basically understood eventually is the experience that we have in terms of how we deal things professionally, how we take up responsibilities and make things happen. If you are given a task, or if you're given a responsibility, you make things happen. If I think that is the bigger thing. So if I have to basically go back in the timeline hypothetically and talk about it, I really can't, ask much, but I think little more experiential learning kind of a things, that would be more, because I think, you always have room to learn more. So from an academic standpoint, again, I don't want to, I think we are always there, but experiential part, if there was more and more, while I myself, looking back, I can't ask for more because I've got what, more than what I asked for. But I think that is where experiential learning sessions or experiential learning, items are something that I would ask. Which could be one learning, which could be all those, sessions and all that. Where we had the external speakers. I remember, there was a group from Times Group. They have come and they've talked about economics, and that has actually gone for one full day. And if I'm correct, Vishnu of our batch, and we had very heated discussion, with them, and that was for entire day. I don't remember any other lecture, guest lecture per se, which has actually happened for entire day, and people were engaged. All the batch was engaged in that discussion, because we were actually debating with them, viewpoints and all that. So I think that kind of a learning really enriches. I really would ask more of such kind of things.
Nice. Okay, so any advice you'd like to give? Although you've given a lot of advice, but anything you'd like to tell our current batch?
Yeah, I think it's very simple, Manish. I think the way in which the students should look at is just do whatever you're doing in terms of the academic thing and all that. Go and make the best use of the 2 years, because this is not going to come back, ever in your life. And make sure that you have great enriching interactions with your faculty, with your colleagues, and make best use of it in terms of enriching yourself, intellectually. uh, just have that experience. Don't try to basically set benchmarks in terms of what college A is doing, college B is doing. I think that's what we used to do at that point of time, I remember. But I think that is something that you should avoid, irrespective of what others are doing. I think the academic council at SMHRD will take care of it. They'll give the best academic rigor that is required for you. All that you need to do is indulge yourself, give yourself to this experience, without volitions, and make best use of it. I think end of the day, you should remember that the capability with which you have come into SMHRD and the capability with which you go out of SMHRD will be at least like 100x. I think that's what you should basically aim at. What is that I have come with, and what is that I'm going out? Obviously the campus offers and all these are fine, but these are not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the person as you, how you are basically, how you have come here and how you are going out as a person, and whether someone can actually come to you and then rely on you for getting something done. That is how you should shape yourself.
And nobody more than you yourself have been an embodiment of the statement you made, because I have seen you at regular intervals even after your MBA, and every time you have come across as as a person who is much more evolved, who's much better. Many students inspire us. It is something very common in our profession, and you have inspired me in terms of what diligence can bring to a person, how diligence and commitment can shape a person's career. You are an example of that, and it has been a very nice interaction with you. Thank you so much, Chandrasekhar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate, and it's always a pleasure talking to you and being back to the alma mater. Yeah.
Thank you.